Arsenal 3, Southampton 0. A game that we should have won and we did, but we don't always win these games. Plus, what's up with Aubameyang? This is the Ghost of Highbury, and let's discuss it. Welcome to the Ghost of Highbury. I'm your host, Anton Keith, and in this video, we will review Arsenal 3, Southampton 0. We'll talk about the minuses and the pluses. We'll talk about who played well, who didn't. We'll do a quick player ratings with a twist, and then we will have to uncover this Aubameyang situation. New information came out this morning. It's Monday morning from David Ornstein. We'll talk about that. But should Aubameyang remain captain? We'll touch on all those things in a minute. So I hope everybody's been good. I hope everybody's been enjoying their holiday. It's been great for me. It's been extremely busy for work, which is why I haven't been here. You haven't seen my face here on YouTube or over on Twitch. By the way, if you enjoy FIFA 22 and people streaming FIFA 22, I am running an Arsenal season from beginning to end over on Twitch. I'll leave the link for Twitch down below so you can go over and check that out over on Twitch if that's your thing. So let's first talk about the lineup. It was a changed lineup because obviously we lost Aubameyang. It was a changed lineup obviously because Aubameyang wasn't going to be playing, and we'll talk about that at the end. But from the back, things stayed the same. We had Ramsdale in goal. On the right, we had Tomiyasu and Benjamin White. On the left, we had Gabrielle and Kieran Tierney. In the midfield, we had a midfield of Granit Xhaka and Thomas Partey, who looked a lot better versus the last game versus Everton. And then up front, we went with a front four of Martin Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, Gabrielle Martinelli, and Alexander Lacazette. I know a lot of people had issues because it looked like Emile Smith-Rowe would be fit to play. And so the question was who was going to get dropped. A lot of people did not want to see Martinelli being dropped for the game. So it turned out that Martinelli did play. Smith-Rowe did miss out in the game, and so this probably as a precaution, he never even made the bench. So the game kicked off, and as everybody saw for the first 15 minutes of the game, probably a little bit more, we looked poor. I mean, we played some of the poorest, boringest football that I've seen this entire season. We could barely connect passes. We could barely make it to our half of the pitch. We just could not string anything together that looked like an attack until we hit them on a tremendous counter courtesy of, I would say, Aaron Ramsdale and Takahiro Tomiyasu. I mean, their quick succession of passes enabled us to open them up, and then we hit them on the counter. Great cross in to Lacazette from Saka, and he put the one-time finish home. Great finish, great goal by Lacazette, great ball in, great driving by Saka. And and then from that point, after the goal, Southampton looked deflated. They tried a little bit more, but then after the second goal went in, I mean, you could just tell that they were resigned to the result. They were missing a lot of people. They even had their third choice 40-year-old goalkeeper playing out from the back. And so a lot of people were thinking, wow, if we can't win this game, then, this season just might be done. And I also, just by looking around, noticing a lot of fans' reactions, it looked like we're just still deflated from Man United and Everton. And I have to be one of those people. I expected us to be getting 9 points from these games just based on the form of those other teams. And they're still struggling. And as you saw, Everton got dusted off, and Man United only won by 1 goal. So they're still struggling. So it's the common denominator is us. Whenever we come to town, either people are coming to our place, or especially when we're going on the road, it's like an opportunity for you to steer and correct your ship. And we have to stop being that type of team. We have to come to people's patches and put them to the sword. And so let's do a little bit of player ratings with a twist. And so let's start from the back. First of all, we have Aaron Ramsdale. And so what I would like to do, instead of just giving, for example, giving Aaron Ramsdale a 7 or 8 for today and then turn it around and he's awful for tomorrow or for Wednesday, let's just say, since we're playing West Ham. Let's just start off right now by saying this. I think everybody would agree that he's probably in the 7 to 8 rating for the season. So assuming that he is there, let's give him a 7.5 coming into this game. After this game, another clean sheet, some more amazing stops. I know a lot of people like to get on him to see he's doing things for the camera. I don't care. I can't really tell the difference. All that I know is the ball is not going into the back of the net, and he is the person, you know, acting as that barrier. I don't care if they're for Hollywood, as they say, or for TV or whatever. I'm so happy that we have a keeper who could stop the things that are supposed to be stopped. I think that he is continuing to do an amazing job. So I'm going to elevate his rating from a 7.5 to an 8. And so that's how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to keep him as an 8 going into the next game. So going into West Ham, he's going to be an 8, right? And so after we do player ratings for after the next game on Wednesday, then that rating will move based on the rating from today. So I'm going to give Aaron Ramsdale, I'm going to move him from a 7.5 to an 8. He did get a clean sheet. He did make stops from the few chances that Southampton had. They didn't really have a lot, but the few chances that they were in on goal cleanly, he was able to stop them and then command his box, made some good passes. One comes to mind that he passed out to Martinelli, which Martinelli should have done better with. We'll touch on that in a minute when we talk about the forwards. But, you know, he just did an amazing job. So I'm going to elevate him from a 7.5 to an 8. Tomiyasu. So I would say up to this point, Tomiyasu has been about a 7. I think he has just been, I saw somebody on Twitter today call him the Nacho Monreal at right back. And I would say that. Does he provide more of the goal-scoring threat that Nacho did towards the end of his career? I wouldn't say that. But he just does, like when you hire somebody for your company, right? And they're not all flashy, they're not trying to be seen, they're sort of like a gray man, right? If you've ever heard that term, not a person who's awful and who's at the bottom and obviously not performing to the standards that you want, and then also not trying to stand out and trying to be top of the class. He just comes in, does his job, and you absolutely don't have to worry about him. That's what I call a gray man, and it's not a bad thing. It's actually an amazing thing in our instance because we need more gray men. That's one thing that I noticed, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to adapt my player ratings, is because we go on such a high and a low with our players that we are unable to get an accurate reading of them because, for one, they are so high and low. So he is one person. He has been Mr. Consistent, probably the most consistent player on the team so far this season, probably outside of Aaron Ramsdale. He's been amazing. So coming into the game, I would put him at that 7.5 range. And so I would say 7. After this game, another clean sheet. Absolutely took care of that right side. Headed everything away. Got beat on pace a couple times, but was able to recover and actually tackle the ball away from the player. Made great passes. Had a hand had a hand in 2 of the 3 goals, and then, you know, just did an overall amazing job. So I'm going to elevate him because of this game from a 7 to a 7.5. Let's go to Ben White. I know Ben White has had some ups and downs. Part of it is just like, and it reminds me of Pepe. A lot of it is us looking at that price tag and trying to equate what he should play like. Now, he can't really control his price tag. That was negotiations between our brass and Brighton's brass. So he didn't come in and say, well, hey, I need you to pay this much for me in order to me to make the move. That's something that agents and executives come up with based on a lot of different factors. He has no play in that. Also, what I think that factors into it is that we pay half as much for his partner, Gabrielle, who has arguably been our best defensive player so far this season, and probably for 2 seasons running. If he was a 20 to 25 million pound player, I think that we would have a better, more realistic sort of expectation for him. But because he came at 50, because of that price tag, that puts him in the Maguires of the world and things like that. Not in terms of skill, not in terms of experience, but just because of what we paid for him. But I think that for the most part, he does way more things good than he does bad. He's just been a step below Tomiyasu and Gabrielle. So up to this point. And so I will give him I would say a 6.5. After this game, I'm probably going to leave that rating the same. I don't think he did anything too amazing, but I also don't think that he got a clean sheet. So I don't think that he did anything detrimental to hurt the team. He didn't get exposed. He didn't do any sort of thing like that that left us in danger. So I'm going to keep Ben White's rating at 6.5 after this game. Now, let's talk about Gabrielle. Like I mentioned before, has been our best player. I had some conversations on Twitter today, and a lot of people think that somebody from that left side, either him or Kieran Tierney, should be the next captain of the club. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with Gabrielle being captain. I would personally prefer somebody who's been here longer than a year. I even saw people saying Ramsdale should be captain, and he hasn't even been here 6 months. So what does that say about the players who have been here longer? Have they not exhibited any leadership qualities? He has been the best player. He has been the best defensive player this season. And he was the best defensive player for the majority of last year. And so, and he's continued to increase. And so I would give him a 7.5. I mean, he's taking on, so far, I would give him a 7.5, closer to 8. And so I think that back 4, 5 with Ramsdale jails, I think the better he's going to get, and then hopefully that'll raise the level of Benjamin White. So I'm going to keep him at an 8. So Kieran Tierney lost a little bit of time. We were dealing with the Nuno Tavares era for a few games, some good, some bad. You know, he is a crowd favorite. I personally like him, not just because he doesn't wear any clothes during the snow or the rain or anything like that, but just because he's a great player on the pitch. He's intense, and he does his job well. He doesn't complain. I would give Kieran Tierney, so far, I would say probably a 6.5. I think because of the loss of game time, it's really been hard to rate him. Because he hasn't had the consistent game time, I'm going to stick with giving him a 6.5. After this game, did really well, no issues. Put in the cross for Odegaard's header, so got an assist, and just did an overall good thing. So I'm going to elevate him to a 7. I don't see any reason why he can't. He is the consistent player. If we can get him and Tomiyasu both playing between a 7, 7.5, even elevating them up to the 8 space, then I think that we are setting ourselves up for a better season than we started off with. So that's the back 5. So let's move on to the midfield. Starting off with Thomas Partey. I actually got into a lot of stuff last week talking about Thomas Partey and how awful he is. Actually, 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, because this whole thing started off with him being terrible, being partnered with El Nini, and him actually being El Nini actually, in some people's eyes, I think that if your ceiling is a 5 and you meet that ceiling, okay, I guess that's one way to look at it. And that's the way I look at a player of El Nini's playing ceiling. I can't see him playing like a 10. I can't see him playing a 9. I can't see him playing an 8. Maybe a 7 or 6, right? So if he plays it at 7 or 6, that's one thing. But Thomas Partey's level is probably somewhere in the 8 or 9 range, right? We've seen him play that. But by his own admission, he said this season he's been playing like a 4. So I would say this season, I would say he has played a 5.5. I won't give him lower than that. He's done some good things. He set some goals off, but his passing, just his completion percentage, has to be lower than what it's been in the past. Has to be, by a lot. He's played I would give him a 5.5. Let's say a 5.5 after this game. So I'm going to elevate him to a 6. Again, nowhere near his ceiling. His partner, Granit Xhaka, second game back, thrown right into the team after an injury where he was supposed to come back next month, but he came back early, which is okay. Got no issues with that. Didn't do anything wrong. No issues. Didn't do anything wrong. Kept the ball going. We all know he's sort of slow, so I'm not gonna that's neither here nor there. He is who he is. Not going to abuse him or anything like that. Didn't do anything wrong. I'm going to give him a standard 5. Didn't do anything wrong. So I'm going to give him a 5.5. We had a clean sheet. He was part of it, made tackles, kept the ball going, didn't get caught out in the ball. Not too many times I can remember, a couple times, but it didn't really result in anything. Martin Odegaard. Now for me, I saw that Martinelli was a lot of fans' man of the match. And don't really have an issue with that. I think that with Martinelli, for me, you ever heard people say, like, does he pass the eye test? And I think for me, Martinelli is, if you can sum him up, he just blows the way the eye test for a lot of people. And I think that's why a lot of people love him. No disrespect, I like him too. But if you're talking about things that actually influence the game, for me, if you really examine the game, and that was part of, I had to catch the second half of the game on replay because I had another event to catch. But when you slow it down and you're not watching it live and you're not reacting, you're not jumping over to Twitter, talking to your friends and things like that, you really see that if we are able to get Martin Odegaard the ball, he can do some amazing things. He really sets up our attack. He really keeps things ticking. And for me, Martin Odegaard was our man of the match. He was instrumental in everything that we did. He kept everything going. He made that pass that we needed to make to keep our attack going. In terms of his evolving ratings, I think that he's probably been somewhere in the 6.5. I would probably say 6. But he scored 3 goals in 3 games. Now he's starting to add goals to his account, something that we all needed. We said we needed goals from midfield. Emil Smith-Rowe has stepped up in this way, and now 3 goals in 3 games, Martin Odegaard has stepped up too. Man of the match performance, 3 goals in 3 games. I'm going to move him up to a 7 because I just think that he's on the ascension. And if we can figure out a way to keep getting him the ball in dangerous spots, it seems like every spot because he's making late runs into the box, he's doing give and goes. People are starting to understand the type of player he is. The only thing that I would like him to do more is sort of find Aubameyang. Find that central striker. It's hard with Lacazette a little bit because Lacazette's playing CDM most of the time. He needs to get that central person the ball. I saw that crazy stat where he's only passed the ball to Aubameyang inside the box something like under 10 times or something like that. If I find the stat out, I'll put it up right here. But yeah, it's crazy how, and it's crazy he scored more goals than Aubameyang. That doesn't help that he hasn't, that's just one game. Aubameyang's played the rest of the games, and I think that Arteta has already said that he's going to play the next game. We'll touch on that in a minute. But yeah, I think that he's been great the last 3 games. And, hopefully we will stop with these James Maddison, Martin Odegaard things. I know that's what people like to do. James Maddison had an amazing game yesterday. If you're watching this game, today's Monday. On Sunday they played. And James Maddison, I think he had 2 assists and a goal, something like that. He was amazing. But I just think that Martin Odegaard will get there. I think Martin Odegaard, we will end up being happy with Martin Odegaard. I think we would have been just as happy having James Maddison. I know people wanted James Maddison because he's English and, he knows the Premier League and he's done it in the league before. I get it, right? But I think that, and I don't put my neck out for a lot of these players because I don't think they deserve it most of the times, but I think that Martin Odegaard, if we give him the opportunity, will end up making great progression, because remember, he has the impetus to be great as well because he has been passed around and loaned and this and that since the team. So this is the first time, he's put his own neck out there and signed for a different club, came to a different country. So let's see if he can fulfill, all the things that we hope he can. So yeah, he's my man of the match. Let's move to the forwards. Let's start at Gabrielle Martinelli. Energy FC, baby. Eye test FC. Love his energy, love his directness. Sometimes he sort of has the Pepe thing where he's not as direct as he should be. Something that Bukayo Saka does extremely well, and why I think that why I think that Bukayo Saka has had so much success since he started playing, for the senior squad, is that he doesn't waste a lot of time. He sees space, he sees one defender, he's going at you. And I think as a defender, that's got to be scary. If you got to worry about all these tricks, step overs, this, that, fake, this, that, then you've allowed another player to come in and double team you, and then you can't really do what you should do. At one point, I didn't really know if he had the techers, the moves, the skill moves to even be a winger. I thought he would be better as a center forward, just because most times he can be direct. He has pace. He has good shot power. He has good accuracy. He's good with his head. I thought he would be a better striker. Lately, he's sort of kind of cutting that out of his game. It's not all the way gone yet, but he's somewhere in the middle between, if you look at very direct being Saka and not very direct at all with Nicolas Pepe. I think that he's somewhere in the middle, and I think he's trending more towards Bukayo Saka than Nicolas Pepe. I think a lot of the young players in the club look at Pepe and his skill moves and all of that and probably think, oh man, it's so cool, I should do some of that. But a lot of that is what keeps Pepe out of the team. He is so undirect. He waits until he gets triple teamed, and then instead of passing or doing something amazing, ends up getting the ball taken away from him. Which, if you're trying to do things I don't necessarily have an issue with, but when you're trying to hit teams when they're down, you can't really do that if one player is slowing the ball down, doing a bunch of step overs and feints and all this type of stuff. So it's crazy to sound like, but I think Pepe should really look at Bukayo Saka's game and sort of adapt it, because if you add that, he has something that Saka doesn't have, which is finishing, and something that Martinelli doesn't have, which is clinical finishing. If he's in that box, he's probably going to score if that ball comes to him. I mean, he's hit some amazing goals. Let me jump back to Martinelli. Has just started to get a run in the team. Has done well. I would say I would give him a 6. I don't think that. I think that the couple chances that he did have, he took one too many touches with, sort of like what Lacazette does. You see when Lacazette hit it first time, boom, he banged the goal. Every other time, he tried to take one touch too many and ended up messing up the chance. And I think Martinelli does that sometimes. And I think there was 2 times I can think of off the top of my head where he did that, namely the big ball over top from Ramsdale. He should have at least been challenging the keeper with that. But instead, he took too many touches. The ball ends up going out of bounds, and I think it goes out for a corner or something like that. So I'm not putting a lot of pressure on him, because I just want him to evolve. And he's definitely going the right way. And so I would say, since he just started off, I would say he scored some goals, he's done some things. So I would give him a 6 coming into this game. I would say he was energetic. He was running around. He was doing all the things that you want a proper winger to do. But when he got the chance, and he got a couple good chances, he didn't really, if the keeper saves your shot, what could you do? But he didn't really put a shot on target. And so I think that I'm going to remain keeping him at a 6, just because I expect more out of him, and because I want him to kind of cut out sort of all the trickery and just take the ball on and do what you're supposed to do. Actually, you know what? I'm going to revise that, because he did get the assist. He did get the assist for Gabrielle's header. So I'm going to take that back. I'm going to elevate him to a 6.5. Great cross. He took a lot of crosses during the game and actually did well, and actually put crosses on time. That's something that he does better than Pepe. So all of these guys that's what you expect. Some guys do better at some things. Pepe doesn't put good crosses in. He used to, but then for some reason he stopped being able to beat that first man. Since Martinelli's been in, he's put in some amazing crosses. He dropped that ball right on Gabrielle's head for the finish. It was beautiful. So I'm actually going to elevate him up to a 6.5 for that performance. Moving to the other side, we have Bukayo Saka. I think Saka is doing the best he can, but I think Saka needs a rest. I feel like Saka hasn't rested in 2 years. I think as soon as he came in, he was so good, so fast, and then we went straight into the Euros. And since the Euros, he's a regular. Now he's a regular for the England national team, and he plays week in and week out. And if he's not hurt, he was hurt I think maybe one game or something like that. He gets clattered a lot. He gets abused a lot by a lot of players. He gets kicked a lot by players. That tells you that, they respect him a lot because they don't want him going past him because he's so direct. That's what really, really finished off that first goal, is that when Tomiyasu got him the ball, he didn't waste any time. He didn't wait till the defender set up so that he can cook the guy and go past him. He took that ball, did a quick drag, and then took off running right inside the box. So, but I think he's tired. I mean, I know he's young and he should have a lot of energy, and I'm a 40-something saying that he looks tired, but he looks tired. The problem is that our manager doesn't trust anybody to be as direct and influential as Saka is, and so he's kind of riding his coattails right now. And so I would say coming into the game, Saka has been somewhere between a 6.5 and a 7. Set it across for the first goal, didn't do too many things wrong, took on players, was influential, so I'm going to move him up to a 7. I think that we're not seeing the best Saka. I think the better Saka was last year, prior to the Euros and in the Euros. I think this year he's been tired. And so I would like to see him get a break. I mean, I don't know when that's going to be, maybe in January. I doubt it because AFCON's coming and we're going to be short a few players, namely Pepe, so he'll probably still keep going. But I wish we were in a situation where he can get rotated a little bit more, just so he can get a little bit of a break. Because I think that if we had a fresh Saka, we would see a Saka probably playing 8.5 to 9 range. We have Alexander Lacazette, who was starting, second game starting. First game was because Aubameyang simply hasn't been doing what we expect Aubameyang to do, which is bang goals. He has been active, he has been running around, but you expect every football player on the pitch to be running around, and he does do that. So I don't really reward mediocrity, and so I didn't really have an issue with him being dropped. The issue I did have was, if you drop him, who do you play? And so obviously for the next 6 months, 7 months, or let's just say, we have Alexander Lacazette. The problem with Lacazette is he's playing like this weird number 10, false 9, CDM right back thing where he's all over the pitch instead of the one place where we need him is inside the box. But because we, hit a couple of counterattacking goals, he was actually there. He actually made some good runs. Was on the end of Saka's amazing, cutback pass into the box. Fired it one time, didn't take a touch, but then after that, got into some really good positions, but just waited too long, took too many touches, and does what he normally does, where he never really gets a shot off. And so I would say this year, he's done some okay things. I would give him probably a 6.5. Scored a goal, was happy to see that, did some great things. Made some important touches in and around central midfield, but I want to see him scoring more. He's never really fulfilled the scoring that I wish he did since we bought him, which I was happy that we did, but just really hasn't fulfilled. I'm going to keep him at 6.5. I know I'm probably harsh with these ratings, you're probably going to say, but like I said, it's like an evolutionary scale. If you're talking about one-off games, yeah, he probably played better some games, probably played worse some games, but I want to do it this way just so at the end of the year, I can really get a better sense of, how players are playing instead of one-offs. And so that's the team. Let me see who came in. Rob Holding came in for Gabrielle because Gabrielle got that early yellow. Like I said, Gabrielle did great. And then he got taken out just because we have a game on Wednesday, and we did not want a red card. Please no. So he came in, didn't really do anything. Great hair. I'm a hair guy, and his hair looks great now. So kudos to his doctor and his medical team who did a good job with that. Hasn't played, and I would like to keep it that way. So I'm gonna give him a 5. Didn't really have to do anything when he came in, and didn't mess up. So 5 is good for me. Who else? Lukaku came in at 81 minutes. It would have been nice to. He's played well. I would say he's probably been a 7. He had the one hiccup versus Liverpool, but one hiccup shouldn't. For other people, one hiccup hasn't been bad enough to kind of get you dropped. See Aubameyang. Tavares get an extra game. Granted, Xhaka has had so many games, but you know when Xhaka came back, like I said, Xhaka's kind of his boy, and so his homeboy. So Lukonga to the bench, and so yeah, he came in and did a few minutes. Didn't really affect the play of anything. Didn't do too much. Kept everything going. To me, he's been a 7. He's been the best midfielder over the course of the season, right? Not necessarily like is he the highest rated midfielder, but over the course of the season, he's been the most consistent. So I give him a 7. I have no reason to drop or elevate that, so I'm going to keep it there. And then Nicolas Pepe came in for a few minutes. And why? I mean, I don't really get, what what are you doing? But he came in, didn't do anything wrong, looked pissed off, just like, why am I out here? I should be starting games. You paid all this money to bring me in. I should be starting games. But I don't think that it's as simple as that. I think that Pepe could do a lot of things to make himself undroppable. And the easiest thing I think that he could do is be more direct. Look at Saka, look at Martinelli. Take some of their game. You think because they're younger that you can't take from their game? And it's like, I would say, take a mentality from their game, not necessarily like taking their exact movements and things like that, but their mentality is to be more direct. And you, my friend, are not direct at all. You are the antithesis of direct. You are, when you're in a box and you get a good cross, or you get something to your feet, you're banging it in. If somebody's stupid enough to put you cut inside on your left foot and you get near that line, you're banging top bins. So I'm gonna give him a 4, and he really didn't do anything to change that. So I'm gonna keep that at 4. Let's talk a little bit about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to end this video. So when this first came out, everybody was kind of timid to make an opinion because we thought this might be another malaria thing, another COVID thing. COVID's been going off like crazy. But, after time comes out, we find out that he was allowed to go to France to get his mom. Things with COVID is changing rapidly. Whatever happened, he showed up the day after he was supposed to, report back. I don't understand why he didn't just make a phone call right then and there when he knew things weren't going to work out right. He should have been in contact with the club. I don't care if you need to call the manager directly and say, hey, here's what's going on. I'm not trying to be late. This what's going on. They changed some rules, A, B, C, and D. Just want to let you know so you don't think that I'm trying to skirt the rules, right? But when you didn't and you just show up, you piss people off, right? Now, should we have known about all of these details? Probably not. Probably not. But here we are. We can't deal with what is. We have to deal with what is actually happening. And do I think it was a little bit harsh considering what was going on? Probably. But you have to take personal responsibility. And at the instant that I know if somebody's expecting me to be somewhere and I can't be there, then common sense tells you to then call and make sure that they know what's going on. Because maybe they can do something. They know where you are, so they should just, they should be able to work with you. But because you chose to show up when you wanted to, of course, people are going to have feelings about that. You already have a track record of being late for things. You've been dropped for games for being late. So they just went ahead and made their assumption. I've seen many things talking about should he be stripped. We're going to talk about that in another interview, in another podcast, another video, just because this one's going to an hour. But here's what I'll say. What I'll say is my standards of what a captain and a leader should be might be different than yours, right? But we've gone through this thing where we've stripped captains. This would be our third captain who was kind of sort of, given up, sort of thrown, sort of taken the armband from them in a row. So do we have a sort of organizational problem? Are we signing the wrong kind of players problem? I don't really know. It's going to take more sort of investigation, and hopefully I can get some people on who can help me explain it a little bit more. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for taking your time to hang out with me. Sincerely appreciate it. No more breaks, podcasts, live streams for games, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for joining me. Do me a favor. If you like this sort of video, please give it a like and a follow, and then check out the video over here to see more content from the Ghost of Highbury. I'm your host, Anton Keith. Thank you so much for checking it out, and I'll see you in the next video.